6:15, we'll call the Committee of the Whole meeting for October 28th to order. I'd like to welcome all of our guests here this evening. And just a friendly reminder, if you have any electronic devices, please put them on silent for us. We appreciate that very much. Notation of councilors in attendance.
Yes.
Thank you. Could I have a motion for the approval of the agenda, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Brownell, second by Councilor Forbes. Any questions on the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, if any, motion carried. Do we have any declaration of conflicts of interest to declare tonight on tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we're good. Now, we have no correspondence, so we'll move right into new business. And there's the draft bylaw A-13, bylaw respecting disturbance by noise. So, Deputy Mayor Brownell, you wanted this put on the committee meeting?
Sure.
Would you like to start with it?
Sure. So, over the past while, we've had residents reach out with concerns about excessive noise during overnight hours. Some examples that's been shared with me include chainsaws running at 2 in the morning, which isn't related to any particular work. Lawnmowers at 3 in the morning, and ATVs revving in driveways at all hours of the night. When these residents contacted the RCMP, they were told that without a noise bylaw in place, the RCMP were unable to intervene. The RCMP has also confirmed this with their CAO that in order to intervene in these situations, a bylaw is required. That brings us to tonight's discussion, the proposed draft noise bylaw that our CAO has prepared and what such a bylaw might look like for our community if we choose to move forward. While the number of complaints may be relatively low, they are real, and they are from residents who have been struggling for some time. Every resident deserves the right to peace and quiet in their own home. So if a noise bylaw is not the answer, then I ask what is, and what can council do to support these residents with their real concerns. I've shared some of my suggested changes to the draft bylaw, including adjusting the hours to midnight to 6 a.m. except on New Year's Day, which it would be from 1 to 6. I've suggested adding protections for forestry operations similar to those already in place for agricultural work, and including an exception for off-road vehicles on designated off-road trails. Additionally, I question whether it's necessary for residents to have to apply for exemptions, given that there are many exceptions already outlined that may make that redundant. I look forward to the discussion, whether it's on this bylaw draft or on other possible ways that we can address these concerns. And I'll just end by saying this. I'll never shy away from speaking on an issue, no matter how controversial it may or may not be. Residents have real concerns, and it's our responsibility to bring these concerns to the table and discuss them openly, which is what I hope we do tonight. That is always and will be one of the many duties as a councillor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have maybe one slight question. When you addressed you had complaints, are these kind of isolated incidents of a few amount of people?
The ones that I am aware of, yes.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have discussion on this?
And the ones that I have is pretty well every week, and it's on a Thursday night. And the
From the
RCMP,
same,
no, from a different area.
more than, can you tell us how many areas? More than 1 or 2, or how many?
Just the one area, really. It's from the Morehouse Corner Road up to 104.
It's quite a large area,
Yeah.
including
Yeah, that's
Upper
Upper
Stonebridge Road.
Just a note, we don't have discussion during council, committee of the whole, or the council meeting. But what we can do, if you have serious concerns at the end of the meeting, we'll open it up so that the public can be addressed. But while we're carrying on, I just ask that you would just observe, please.
I get an emergency.
Anyone else to address? Yes, Councilor Hayes.
I've been giving this considerable thought, and reflecting back to my experiences through my employment as a principal, and I know that there were times when there were issues that I had to deal with involving disturbing the peace and so forth, related to some of the issues that I dealt with. And I'm curious to know why the RCMP would not be able to take some action when there are noticeable issues under Section 5 of the Criminal Code, specifically subsection 175, that talks about disturbing the peace in or near a public place. And there's a number of examples that are given there, including even things like fighting, screaming, shouting, swearing, singing, using insulting, obscene language, being drunk, being impeding, molesting other people. It may not be a preferred route to press charges in those situations, but to me, there is some leeway under the criminal code for some of those issues to be addressed.
But that says stated public places, right?
How do you define public? Public is anything, it says on or near. And if someone's on their personal property, which is impeding on a public road, for example, you could argue they're near a public place.
I'm not arguing for or against,
Oh,
I'm just trying to clarify,
Yeah.
But
so
for sure.
everyone's clear.
to clarify, is dwelling house or on or near public place?
And I guess too, when I think about it, if it's the noise created by some form of automobile, for example, there are laws that restrict the noise levels of automobiles. If it's a case of I don't know why anyone would run a chainsaw at 2 in the morning, that's a little beyond me, or a lawnmower at 3 in the morning.
I would only guess it's because they have issues with their neighbor, but that's a guess.
I don't know.
That's why I asked if it was if it's isolated, Councilor Edwards?
Yes, one of the items I passed on to the CAO in my in Ward 2, it was noise, and because you were asking if there were other instances, and there was.
Okay.
And also, I'm just wondering at this point, this Local Governance Act, do we look at that first, or?
Can we? Did you say? Or
Well, I
did
would think that would come first. Maybe not.
Go ahead and read it.
Pardon?
Read it.
You haven't got it?
I don't have it with me, no.
Well, it's from the RCMP. It's called Local Governance Act, that according to nuisances, including noise, pollution, and waste on public or private property.
Just hang on a moment.
Sorry, I'll just clarify. The first part is just the portion of the Local Governance Act that provides council the authority to establish a noise nuisance bylaw.
Correct.
The second part is the email that I received from Corporal Penny, and just in regards to what they would do if there was such a bylaw in place. And please observe the text in red. Obviously, he was talking to the wrong person.
Right.
So,
Plus the fact
But-
that a lawyer has to do it, right?
no,
Isn't that what it says at the
that's
top?
what I'm trying to tie is that he was wrong.
Okay.
So that's why the Local Governance Act gives council the authority to establish this bylaw, if you so choose.
So Danny?
Further to what Joan is saying though, in this message it says, I'm not sure what kind of bylaw you were looking to get for the community, but I would also mention that mischief is a common offense investigated by the RCMP and most times helps curb excessive noise for problem areas. So it is a current existing thing that is useful, that already works.
It's whether they want to apply it or not, basically.
But it gives them the ability to respond to a call or a complaint. Because even in the criminal code, it says disturbs the peace and quiet of occupants of a dwelling house by discharging firearms or other disorderly contact, not being an occupant of the dwelling house comprised of particular, all this. And it says, disturbs the peace and quiet of the occupants of a dwelling house comprised in the building or structure by discharging firearms by other disorderly contact in any part of the building or structure to which at the time such contact the occupants of two or more dwelling houses comprising. Like there's already lots here.
Okay. Councilor Dennis?
Further to my comments, there are certain occupations, which I know if there was a bylaw, you could probably apply for an exemption, but there are occupations such as forestry, where forestry operations may be required to go 24 hours a day based on the contract or the needs of that operation. It could very well be that some farming operations may need to operate at exceptional hours as well, other than normal. And I would hate to see us put something in place that could be used to quell some of those industries in our area and further inhibit those types of things. I know in the past we've talked about concerns around safety and speeding and things like that within our community. And I think if we continue to impress upon law enforcement agencies, including the RCMP, the importance of their visibility and being within our community, it can help a lot to quell some of the illegal activities and nuisance complaints that otherwise may come in. I know, as all of you councillors know, I've had a concern regarding the amount of vehicles that tend to go through the Burt's Corner area by the school there at excessive speed. And there have been several occasions lately when I've noticed the RCMP station at that location, and people do tend to touch the brake when the RCMP are around. And will it make a difference for every situation? Absolutely not. But as word gets out, if the police are in the area and the presence is more noted, I think some of these other issues may be less of an annoyance and problematic, less problematic as well.
Good chance it could be. Councilor Edwards?
Back to the incident in Ward 2. The police were called many times for the same incident. They were told, now this is from the person that was involved, that they would come as many times as they were called. But if there was a bylaw, they would probably come once, and if they thought it necessary, they would, I believe I read somewhere here, the bylaw would have a fine, underneath execution or penalty, they would have, they could issue a fine or something else, depending what is in the bylaw with regards to penalties.
Okay, is this a problem with neighbor to neighbor?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yes, I would just question why, for the concerns that were brought to me, why the RCMP would say that they can't do anything without a noise bylaw to address the noise.
I'm not sure, can't speak for the RCMP, but according to what Councillor Downing read, they do have some authority to address that to some degree. Maybe not to the degree of absolute, you're causing a noise and you're going to get a fine. It's probably the fine aspect that probably doesn't work, I would say, after hearing that. Councillor Drake?
I don't believe the RCMP currently have the ability to fine. They can arrest under the criminal code, but they can't just give you a fine. So they can either want to arrest you and release you, and then you go to court. But with the bylaw, that would give them the ability to instantly discharge a fine to that individual instead of going in the criminal code way. Whether that's what they're looking for. It would be terrible to have the jails full of noise people.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. The
No,
jails are-
and I know there's been issues in Keswick Ridge with loud wheelers at all hours of the morning, large private parties that, you all know
For some of the incidents we're talking here, do we believe that a fine would be enough to stop it anyway? Like this is what this would be, is a fine to potentially individuals that don't have the means to pay it in the first place, or won't. So, what does it gain?
Councilor Ennis.
I think we're running on speculation, and I'm not aware that any of us are legal experts around the table. I have a hard time to see how a local bylaw can supersede the criminal code. And it's my understanding of penalties for causing a disturbance under the criminal code that the maximum penalty is $5,000 or short-term imprisonment. So I don't totally buy that the police are handicapped. It may not be as convenient for them unless there is a bylaw, but I don't see that their hands are as tied as we may think they are. The criminal code does speak to a maximum fine of $5,000.
Right. I guess my comment on the whole thing is, we're a very rural community, we're very small, we're still relatively new, trying to get our foundation under us and our feet. And I'm not sure that we maybe should be diving into something to this degree, maybe this soon in our 3-year existence, especially being rural. If we were in a town or a village or a city, it might be extremely different, but we are a rural community, and I think that it's expected to be rural to some degree. If there's an annoyance, I know in my case, if I had a neighbor that I didn't like or they didn't like me, I would try to talk things out at least and say, well, why do you do this in the middle of the night? Is there any way to stop doing it, or, you know, could this be halted? That would be my first defense, but I don't know all of these situations. I know they're all different, they're in different areas, and I do think from what I've heard from a couple of the councilors that it's a neighbor doesn't like a neighbor, which is very unfortunate. And I think that probably should be addressed within the boundaries of the properties. Just my thought on it, Deputy Mayor.
So that's not entirely true. It's not just neighbor versus neighbor. There's troubled individuals throughout the community on drugs, causing disruptions. When they call the RCMP, since they're not doing anything illegal, they say there's nothing we can do. But if you have a bylaw, they might be able to enforce the bylaw. I understand it's a fine and it's not gonna necessarily stop or curb the problem. I'm just saying that these are the concerns that residents have. This is what they're dealing with day in and day out. And when the RCMP come and say, well, if there was a noise bylaw, we might be able to do something, that's what's getting back to us.
And I feel bad for those residents that are in that situation, I really do. But in my thought is we have to look at the greater good. Like, where does our overall whole community stand with this? So, Councillor Downey?
I just want to bring back to the criminal code already says, you know, causing a disturbance by fighting, screaming, shouting, swearing, singing, or using insulting or obscene language. It exists already.
And it does too.
There's already a criminal code. It exists already. They
I
already have
understand
this
it's a
to
criminal
use.
code. I'm telling you what residents are saying and what the RCMP is saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. And that's how I feel that this has kind of all come about. I'm not the one that brought this here. I'm listening to residents and I'm bringing their concerns to the table. That's it. What we decide to do is what we decide to do. But I feel obligated to voice their concerns because that's what I'm here for. If I'm not gonna do that, then I might as well not be here.
Absolutely, that should be why we're all here. We all represent the citizens here, and we need to represent them. And if they have concerns, we need to address them, whether we can do something about it or not. It needs to be discussed. So, Councillor Forbes?
Is there a way we could have some representation from the RCMP come and speak to us on this and explain why they're not able to use the criminal code and why they're putting residents off by saying there's nothing we can do? And very clearly, it was very easy to find that there is things in place for them to be able to do something, and it may be more than they want to take on, but we are the ones that have them here to pressure them into doing their job if we need to. Like, if this is, they need to explain why they can't.
I'll make the bold assessment that yes, we can. I'm sure they'd be willing, but I don't know the time frame when we could get them here, but I'm sure they'd be willing,
I would personally like to see that.
okay? Councilor Brewer?
And at this residence, at times, Child Protection Services has had to come and take 2 little children out of there. And that is a big concern, especially, when it involves little kids. There's no heat, no water, nothing in this residence. And how CPS allows it, I don't know.
But we need to be careful, we don't get the boundaries of child protection, drugs, and the noise, all complicated in one here. They're different areas, and I think we need to keep them kind of separated. Councilor Forbes?
It sounds to me like using the noise and nuisance stuff is just a tool that the RCMP are wanting or asking for to solve a much bigger issue with some very disturbed individuals around the community that are causing a lot of grief to our residents. Like, I don't doubt that at all. I'm just wondering if this is the right way to do this, to just give them another thing to do when they have framework in place already for it, so.
But I do agree with what you brought up, but I think we need to have the RCMP's input on this.
Because this is more than someone being noisy, I think, from what I'm understanding. It's more than just a noise that's annoying, it's everything that comes with that.
And we also have the SCAN project now, that if there's drugs or known drugs or whatever,
Yeah.
there's precious little legalities that have to go with that to shut them down for 90 days. So that's a tool maybe that, if that's what some of this is driven from, that maybe should be exercised a little more. You had a question?
I think that maybe circling back to what Wayne said and advocating for the RCMP to have more presence in the community would make a bigger impact than applying a very broad bylaw to the whole municipality that I can see being used by some people in, not in the spirit that we mean it by, or that it could be meant by. I see all kinds of ways for this to be used beyond what we're trying to pinpoint.
Deputy Mayor Brownlow?
I just wanted to say SCAN can help the individuals that,
Nobody
that I'm
can,
thinking of.
can the drugs if it's drug.
If they're dealing drugs, not if they're addicts, and these guys are addicts, unfortunately.
Councilor Edwards?
3 things. 1, the person that was involved in my area, the first thing they said to me, is there a bylaw? 2, our community is now being made up from people from many provinces that are used to other bylaws. And number 3, in this same letter about local governance, he says, I would be willing to meet up and discuss any concerns the community may be having.
Okay. Thank you for that. Councilor Hess?
Just reflecting on conversations that I've had with residents and reflecting on how part of what we want to do is encourage tourism and people coming to our community and staying at bed and breakfasts and other retail things. In the wintertime, for example, very often I hear the snowmobile traffic even though I'm well away from the trail. And it's a bit of an irritation from time to time for sure, but it's also the possibility of people spending dollars within our community. Some of the power boats on the head pond, no doubt, are obnoxious with how loud they are, but yet it's potentially bringing dollars into our community. And I don't want to sound like it's all about dollars, it isn't. But if we're trying to support economic development through tourism, through agriculture, through forestry, what have you, there will be some noise that we may have to put up with to some degree, given that we're rural in nature as well. And if, I totally agree with what you're saying. If we were a big municipality and had certain industries, certain businesses, certain things that may not be allowed because of their noise or other effects on our community, I think it would make sense at that juncture for us to look at some form of control. I think part of it too is we need to go back to the root of the issue. If there are illegal activities happening, the illegal activities need to be addressed. And that's really the crux of the matter. And I agree totally with what Councillor Forbes said in his suggestion of bringing the RCMP in to help us understand their ability and their constraints in dealing with some of the issues that we're hearing from our residents, without putting a big blanket of constraint over all of our residents.
We will schedule the RCMP spokesperson for them, just, we don't know when yet, but we'll work on that in the coming years. If council has nothing else to address, we've only got about 8 or 9 minutes left, and I'll open the floor for our gallery. So, anything further?
No.
Okay, so we'll open comments to the gallery, and I would ask you to just speak one at a time, please. Thank you. If you have any concerns or comments on this.
Tell them how you're living, tell them how you're living.
Yeah.
I had the RC&D set at my table from Ham. We called him, he come, and they can't do nothing, no violence. He sat at our table, 9 o'clock at night. Come and spend the night at our house.
Exactly.
Come and spend the night at our house.
All of you guys come over.
Yeah,
Just one night.
just one night, you only need one night.
So where's your location?
Upper Stonebridge Road.
We're on the road.
That's the territory Councilor Brewer's familiar with.
Yeah.
It's
all
But it's also Morehouse Corner. They're sawing wood at night to sell it. But the guy that's near Mom and Dad, he has permission to saw wood. So can he do it all night long and keep these seniors awake?
I can't answer that, 'cause I'm not a lawyer.
No, but this is why we need the bylaw. The cop told me, sitting right in a driveway across from my house, he said, if you guys had a bylaw, I would fine them, and then they go to jail. That's what he said. I'm not a cop, but that's what he told me. That's why I called you, but I never got no response. But anyway, I called your number, I don't know who, secretary, I left a message, and this was like a year ago. And anyway, I just asked the cop, and he said, we cannot do anything unless you're a municipality now, you should have a noise bylaw. Disturbing the peace bylaw, he called it.
Okay, so that's why we need the RCMP in here, and we need to get their thoughts on this.
But this, like, it's not a random thing, it's
Well,
happening all the
we've
time.
already been told by the RCMP twice.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when you got elected, you had a great meeting
Mhm.
at the Lions Club, and you said, if we need bylaws, you would make them.
Yes, you do.
Yes, and I said tonight, we need to make them for the greater good. We can't make them,
Well, yeah.
You come on up and live where we live,
okay.
then you could talk.
Sherry knows all about it.
Every time I go up to my daughters, or to him and I, we come back, we don't even speak to them. And they will get out there and rev their bikes up, or they'll get the chainsaw out.
Okay.
But we don't even pay any attention, we just go on about our work. We go out around the yard, can we have any peace? No, and we don't say a word. And if you think we're lying, there's the 3 of us, and she's a good Christian woman and she would not lie. And I wouldn't lie, I'm not a Christian, but I wouldn't lie about this.
No,
I've seen them
I'm not
literally,
doubting your word.
I've seen them literally get down on the lawn, crawl across the lawn, and act as if they're animals. Yes.
She sat right on my deck.
So is that drug related?
Yes, they
Yes,
were
it's
high.
regulated.
The
No
whole
man,
road is got it.
nobody in the right mind will do that.
No.
But the mowing of the lawn in the middle of the night in the rain,
Yeah, out painting at night with a headlight on.
Like
That's
what-
what they've got on their heads.
And what he was saying, he brought forth suggestions for the bylaw. Sounds like there's exemptions for farmers,
Yeah.
for other people that need to run whatever at a certain time of night or morning, whatever.
We're going through the graveyards.
So,
our
this
cemeteries.
is a location, this is an address that's causing the problem. right?
No,
It's-
no,
it's
on the
all-
more,
it's-
on the road, it's all good at night.
You better come up and take a little drive through.
No, but what I'm asking
I
is,
could give you names of everyone that's sawing wood at night.
so there's
It's
knitting.
multiple
Yes,
locations,
it's
Dave.
multiple, Wendy knows, yeah, she
It's
knows.
multiple locations, multiple locations.
We
They
gotta
have-
go through our life like this, whether we got a long life or short, to live with the like of that trash, doing this to us all over. We hear it going all over.
No, every individual has a right to quality of life, like
Yeah,
this.
but we don't need this.
They
Who
don't-
never think we had a community like we had? We had a good community. Now trash men think they're gonna run us out. When they go out, when they take me and put me in the ground.
She needs to, they need to hear what we are living in.
That's right.
It's serious.
It is serious. She threatened me.
Yeah,
I had to call the police.
Yeah, she has.
She said she had people would take care of me, and I never even said nothing to her. And she had dared me over her land, well, it ain't her land, over there. And I said, no, better you come over here.
Okay. Well, I hear a strong resentment here, and I'll have a chat with the RCMP tomorrow.
Yeah, but we still need them bylaws.
Listen to,
Okay, but we're
call
going,
James McKinnon from Hampton,
Yes.
call him.
Yeah.
He's a good one.
He knows everything that's going on here, everything.
He does,
James McKinnon from Hampton Detachment.
yeah. He just drives up sometimes just because he knows what.
He told us that whenever he needs overtime, he comes up and goes through this area in the middle of the night.
He's very.
He knows everything goes on.
She's goes hard.
You know, James McKinnon from Hampton Detachment.
She wants to know.
yes,
Perhaps,
We get a chance to go here, right?
yeah, just a minute.
oh,
Councilor Edwards?
perhaps we need a lawyer to come in to discuss these things with us. I think everyone agrees that we need a bylaw.
We do.
But the wording of the bylaw, as it said on one of these other sheets, is it is a lawyer that has to actually come up with, or at least the way I read it, that a lawyer needs to be involved in setting up the bylaw.
Yeah.
Now, why am I thinking that differently when what I'm reading says, I was advised your community would have to hire a lawyer, so is that?
That's incorrect. If you look at the top portion, the Local Governance Act allows councils to make bylaws like
Right.
this. You don't need a lawyer to do so.
Yeah, but
Because the bylaws exist in many other communities.
why I'm saying it with the lawyer thing, the council can make the bylaw, but I think we need some a lawyer, because I think there are ways that we can make it so that it's not just the noise, but a way to use the noise bylaw to deal with other things that are causing trouble.
Okay, we'll start with the RCMP visit and see what they can tell us, and if they advise us that we need a legal opinion, then that's the route we can go to in the future. Hey, Jordan, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I thank you guys for sharing your story, and always good to, I mean, it's a big community, 7,000 people, so all kinds of different areas and challenges, so it's kind of great to hear some other opinions out there. I just want to kind of just quickly share my story. Like, I live on Macklebach Heights Road, and over the years, I mean, we've got boats that come in at 12 in the morning in the summertime. There's dirt bikes going on the roads. There's been, forestry, farming, all that kind of stuff. Because, we live in a rural community with all these different activities going on. However, if you, let's say, decide to move forward with this, you can't just start cherry picking, okay, this is a noise bylaw complaint, this is a noise, because there could be I've got a neighbor that's got a rooster that 5 in the morning, every, so then let's just say this bylaw goes into place, what's stopping me from saying, Chad, your rooster's going off at 5 in the morning, it's waking me up, now I'm gonna call the RCMP to go and give you a $25 ticket. So I certainly understand the concerns, and I think those concerns need to be addressed, but coming up with a blanket, rule like this has serious consequences, besides the point that, the premise of it, of having the RCMP go out and give people $25 tickets, just in reality makes no sense, and it's just not what, they're not doing it in Fredericton or other municipalities, going around giving municipal tickets. They have bylaw enforcement people that do that. So on the premise of it, it doesn't make sense, and as a community of the whole, it doesn't make sense. However, there needs to be concerns like, because I'll be honest, guys, we don't have any of that in my neighborhood.
You're very blessed.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Very close community, where we have 2 community Facebook pages, everyone communicates, we look after one another. There's been, I haven't had a screw taken from my house since I've lived there, so we're, so hearing your concerns, like, I would be, would stand with you to find a solution besides this, but you would have my support to find a solution for that, because that's also unacceptable, and, the RCMP should definitely be taking, your concerns very seriously, because that's not acceptable. And if they were doing that in my neighborhood, we wouldn't be very happy
It's
either.
very
They
unacceptable.
can't take it serious because there's no bylaw.
That's what they told
Well,
us.
that's not true though. I'm telling you, that's not
They
true.
must not know their
That-
rules, I guess. They don't speak
I'm
English.
sure all you people here heard
Because
tell all the
let's say,
stealing.
let's say I came into your yard
Hang
and I
on,
started,
hang on.
yeah,
Let this guy speak here.
Huh?
Speak, go ahead.
I say, all you people must have heard of all the stealing and drugs in the Zeeland area. If you haven't been out.
Well, yes, we've heard it.
Really?
but sir, a bylaw doesn't fix that. Like if someone's coming into your property and stealing stuff, a bylaw of noise is not gonna stop that theft.
But a bylaw of noise too with your rooster, that would be an exception under farming, wouldn't it?
Now you're getting into a
That's,
huge
that's
game,
really, that's really just nitpicky.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's nitpicking.
And,
Yeah,
yes,
but then once you
and-
make
and
the
a
rule,
bylaw,
Like a
then
dog
you
park.
got, it opens a huge can of
What
worms
about
that
Frederick?
is.
Frederick Hampton, what about them? Are they crazy?
They have a
They're-
bylaw.
They have bylaw.
They're not crazy, but let's just look at Douglas
You mean-
Avenue for a second. You got
Jordan,
100 neighbors
Mary.
within 6 feet of one another, like,
You need to address council, not talk.
oh,
back and
well,
forth.
we're just having a discussion here, but.
I understand that, you need to address council.
So just to use a quick, that example, like if you're on Douglas Avenue, my house and Matt's house are 2 feet apart. Like he's out there mowing the lawn at 11 o'clock at night, there's 10, 12 neighbors that are gonna be disturbed by that. Like here, I live on, 3.5 acres, some people here probably live on, large, so I mean,
No, the Upper Stone Ridge Road is pretty close.
but that's not representative of the whole, right? There's a
No.
lot of people that have a lot of land
No,
and they're
but
not
still.
really. I hear what you're saying, but when you do this, it applies to everyone, so you have to be really careful that
So
it makes sense for the community as a whole, not just.
So on the Upper Stone Ridge Road, we will address this further. Where we get to, I don't know yet, but we will address it further with the RCMP. And then whether there's a bylaw or not, that's future. But we need to go to the avenue to get some information from the RCMP.
We need something done, like seriously.
We
No,
will,
you guys have my support
We will-
to help,
we
I'll
will
help
address
you,
it.
what anything, I'll help you as well.
Like, this is no joke,
no, I understand.
like seriously. Sherry knows all about it.
Sherry, Wendy don't know about it?
So
Not a question.
we have 1 minute left. Councillor.
All I want to say is people need to be careful on the Upper Stone Ridge Road and surrounding areas, because one of the girls definitely carries a knife on her.
Yes, exactly.
And she has been into a home that is of a person that is very close to me, and they picked up on the knife right away. So,
How does that relate to noise?
I'm not talking about noise, I'm talking about when they're out and about, you've got to be careful.
I would
That's
just
what I
like to
mean.
add one short comment. If a bylaw, a blanket bylaw is passed in the municipality, it's gonna be ripe for abuse. As Councillor Downing and others have said, there's already provisions in the penal code that covers off much of what's been discussed already in terms of kind of these individual incidents. As to why the RCMP is not doing their job and stepping up and enforcing the law of the land, that's the question for them. But all I can see coming from a
we're gonna have to break. What I'd like for you people to do is to send me an email of the issues that you have, if you would, please.
We just told you,
He has mine.
we just told you.
Yes, I understand, I'd like to have it in writing to take it to
He
police.
has mine.
Okay,
You're gonna hear a lot next week as well, or on the 13th for the public meeting.
You're
okay.
right, you have to be a lot more.
We call the RCMP all the time, and they come,
They do.
within a half an hour, but they cannot do nothing.
Okay,
They cannot do nothing.
And
Leave-
they also,
leave it with
can
us.
I say one more thing?
We have to break here, if it's
Okay.
10 seconds or less.
You gotta take up that call.
The RCMP
All of
told
us.
me that the more we call, it's better, because at the end of the day, they have to, their boss will look and see how many calls come in that area, and then they have to put more patrol on.
Yes, we're aware of that.
Yeah, that's what they told us. So that's what we do, but still, this is not stopping.
But they can't do nothing.
Okay,
They can't do nothing. Hang tight.
all right, thanks everyone. Could I have a motion for adjournment for the committee of the whole, please? Moved by Councilor Annis, do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Brownlow, all those in favor?
Aye.